All right. Hey guys, how are you doing today? I'm just making sure I've got everything set up here correctly and that I am going live in the right group. So just bear with me for 1 second while you kind of jump on here if you're hoping to jump on live. And there I am. Perfect. So I'm just going to turn the volume down to make sure I don't get any weird feedback. How are you guys doing today? I'm really excited to be here. I wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of people don't talk about. They feel a lot of shame, embarrassment, and judgment of themselves and worrying about other people judging them. And that for me, and maybe this doesn't relate to you, but for me, when I became a mom, and of course, I've had horses my entire life. I grew up with horses. Um, I can't even remember ever not riding. And so when I became a mom, I had all these expectations of what motherhood would be like. I was one of those judgmental women that was like, my baby isn't going to make me do this or this, and I'm going to be this kind of a mom, and I'm never going to do that, and I'm always going to do this. And so I had this massive preconceived notion of how I was going to be a mother and a wife and a horsewoman. I had all of these ideas in my head, and I was sure that it would just be that way because that's how I wanted it to be. And then I had babies. And then I realized this is not how life works. We can't just decide how things are going to go. We can't say, like, I'm going to be this type of a mom or my kid's going to be this type of a kid. It doesn't work that way at all. And it was really, really hard because I felt like I really lost who I was as almost as just a person, like my first daughter, it was a challenging birth. We had all types of breastfeeding issues, like don't even like it was literally 3 months before we kind of passed that hurdle of breastfeeding. That is a long time to deal with pain, excruciating pain while nursing. I'm not going to get into all that. If I'll talk to you about it if you're interested. Send me a message, but I won't. Now is not the time and the place to get into all that craziness. But anyway, and so because of all of the challenges that I dealt with, I really um, lost my identity in just this tiny, precious, perfect little human that, I'd brought into this world. And as much of a blessing she was, because I felt like every ounce of my being went into feeding her, looking after her, loving her, helping her to just be, thriving in her own tiny little universe that babies have, that I didn't pay any attention to myself anymore. I ended up having my first bout of postpartum depression, and I didn't like who I was becoming. I loved who I was as a mom for the most part. I still, of course, like every mom, you have the fears and the struggles and the anxieties and everything else. But I became a pretty lousy wife because I was so lost and in tune with just Joy, my baby. Um, and well, of course, my husband's baby too, our kid. And um, because I was so focused in on that, I lost who I was as a person, which then completely affected who I was as a horsewoman and who I was as a wife. Because all I cared about, all I thought about, all I obsessed about was reading parenting books and these kind of books and reading these videos. And while, of course, educating yourself while you are, a brand new mom is very important, don't get me wrong. I didn't take any time and I didn't have the mindset on how important it was to take care of me and how to not lose myself. Because once I started to lose myself, that's when the postpartum depression really started creeping in. That's when I felt like I couldn't connect with my horses anymore. Even though, yeah, sure, I didn't feel too intimidated to jump on my barrel horse, who is broker than broke. He's been hauled to rodeos. He's not a spooker. He doesn't rear. He doesn't buck. He doesn't bolt. He's completely, yes, he can have excess energy, but he's completely controllable. So I felt safe. But we lost our connection, a lot of it, and I hadn't ridden in so long. And it was really hard to deal with, because then all of a sudden I'm kind of being like smacked in the face of being like, where did I go? Like, where did my bravery go? Where did my confidence go? Where did the connection between me and my horse go? It just turned into me feeling horrible about getting a babysitter, to running out, literally running to the horse pasture to catch my horse, because I wanted to be fast, because I didn't want to inconvenience whoever was watching my daughter at that time, to rushing through, not even taking the time to brush out his mane and tail anymore, because I was so focused on, I need to get back to Joy. What happens if she starts to cry and I'm not there? What if? And so, like, there was no time for me. There was no time for my horse. It was literally running out, catching my horse, coming back, doing a quick brush off, get the saddle on, the bridle on, go for a ride, and race back into the house as soon as I could, more or less. And that's not that much fun, you know? It was like I was ticking the box. I was like, I'm a horsewoman. I love horses and I need to ride even though I've got a baby. Check the box. And it wasn't intimate at all between me and my horse. There was no emotion. It was literally just something that I felt like I had to do. And that's really, really sad. And it took me a long time to get through that. And I don't know if this is something that you're struggling with, but I really want to share with you that if that is what you're struggling with, that feeling lost and maybe even alone, I felt very, very alone. I lost all my horsey friends. Either they didn't have kids or their kids were much older than me and they were already easily back into horses. The kids were into horses. And I felt really alone and isolated. I felt lost. I didn't know who to talk to. Nobody understood what I was going through, and just the anxiety and the stress of it all, because you also don't want to talk about those things. Who wants to hear about those kind of struggles? You think nobody, right? You think, oh, nobody's going through this. Look at Sally Mae. She had her baby 2 years ago and she's been riding since her kid was 6 weeks old, and she's competing and she's winning ribbons or buckles or whatever. And then we start playing that comparison game and it's ugly. And I want you to try to stop. It's hard, but the one thing that helped me learn how to stop living in that place of self-judgment, self-doubt, fear, anxiety, the depression, was just one really simple but somewhat difficult thing to do. And all that it really was loving myself in that moment. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe you're sitting there being like, "Oh my gosh, of course I love myself." But do you really? How many negative thoughts are rolling through your head about yourself right now? About your parenting, about how you work with your horse or don't work with your horse. Maybe you're avoiding your horses because you just don't know what to do anymore. You're so lost and confused. You don't know how to balance the being a mom, having babies and having horses, and maybe you have a job too. Maybe you work out of the home, and so maybe you're just even avoiding horses. And that's okay. It's maybe not where you want to be, but where you are right now, I promise you, is where you're meant to be. And you are perfect in every way. And you need to send love to yourself and all of those areas that you struggle with. Whether it's, you feel like you're dropping every single ball you've got juggling in the air because you can't do it. Maybe you're dealing with depression like I did. Maybe you don't even have that connection with your horse anymore and you're avoiding them. That's okay. It's not wrong. What you're feeling is not wrong. And the very first step to this is loving yourself and believing that there's nothing wrong with you, because there's not. We all have these struggles that we go through. Some of us maybe struggle more than others in this specific area of our life, but don't feel like you're all alone, because you're not. And there's nothing wrong with where you are. And when you send love to yourself, when you literally, if you can take a few moments and meditate in the bathtub, well, after your kid goes to bed, as you're trying to fall asleep tonight, take those few moments and literally envision two of you. So there's you, your actual you, and then envision yourself kind of being above you, and talk to yourself with love and compassion, and be like, hey, I see you're trying to do your best and you're rocking it. You're doing fantastic. Are you where you want to be? Maybe not, but that's okay. And you need to send compassion to yourself, because until you start loving yourself while you are struggling, you're not going to get out of the struggle, because you're already become your worst enemy, your worst person that's going to be judging you and criticizing yourself. And so you're not going to get through that until you can learn how to become your biggest cheerleader. And that's by sending love and compassion and empathy to you where you are, in the dirt, in the trenches, in all the yuck and the chaos and the depression and the anxiety and everything else. Until you can love yourself right here, you're not going to be able to step out of it, because no one's there to help you. You have to empower yourself to take those first steps up the ladder. You need, and nobody can do it for you. That's the sad thing. Nobody can do it for you but you. And so that's why loving yourself, just like you would when your kid is learning how to walk, you don't criticize them for the million times they fall on their butt. You don't. You love them. You help them get up again. Let's try again. Let's try again. You can do it this time. I know you can do it. And they fall again. And you say, that's okay. Good job trying. Talk that way to yourself, because that is when you're really going to start seeing this transformation in your own heart and mind, to help you really start to see changes in your life. And that's the very first step to all of this, is learning how to love yourself and believe in yourself, excuse me, and that there is nothing wrong with you. Okay, trust me, believe me. If you don't believe it yet, believe me, because I've been there. There's nothing wrong with you. You are where you need to be, and you want, and because you're in this group, you obviously want something, you want more, you want something better. And this is an amazing first step. So congratulate yourself, thank yourself, and this is a win. This is a big win. Anyway, I don't want to carry on for too long. I hope you feel uplifted from this. And if you ever want to reach out and talk more about maybe a struggle you're going through right now, my door is always open. Literally, if you live near me, if you live far, far away, you can always send me a private message or comment in the group, because when we share together, we really help each other grow. And it's a very empowering and powerful thing when we come together as a community of like-minded women who are all struggling with the exact same thing. Okay. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope you have a really good new year. And again, if you're wanting to get more information, if you're kind of feeling like, okay, I'm ready to start being my own cheerleader, check out the unit section in this group, because there are a couple different units that is specifically geared to start you learning how to talk to yourself in a more specific way. There's one unit and it's called conscious language. And then there's another unit that is called Change Your Words to Change Your World. Okay. So I'm just going to go in here really